Tonight, Q warns us of Chinese hackers stealing classified missile defense information, as well as a stark warning to all those who follow Q on 4chan, 8chan, and Reddit. Hi, I'm Craig, and welcome to Just Informed Talk. For those of you who don't know, every one of these episodes I start by saying thank you to every one of my subscribers. Without you guys, this channel is not possible, so thank you to each and every one of you. If you have not hit that subscribe button yet, please come here to this landing page, click the big red subscribe button, make sure you hit the bell for notifications. That way, as soon as these videos get posted, you'll be notified, because as soon as information is made available to me, I make it available to you. Now, we're going to go into these Q posts. Now, there's a lot to cover tonight. There was a lot of Q posts since the last video, and we're going to cover it all. This is where we left off last time. If you guys want to get caught up on where we're at, I certainly suggest you come back here, watch my latest videos if you want to get caught up. Now, before we get started, I want to give you guys an insight on something that's been a development with YouTube. As of recent, I've been gaining some traction here on YouTube, obviously. You guys have seen the numbers. You guys know where I'm at. And I don't mean that in a braggadocious sense, because I'm forever humble, and I attribute everything that has happened here on this channel to God. Nothing I have done here has been on my own. It's all through the Lord. It's all through His blessing. It's all through His ability to grant this amazing blessing to me to be able to come here and present this information to you. But for those of you who don't know, this video was taken down not too long ago. And I even made a video where I explained how my channel had received a copyright strike, and this video was removed. It was deleted from the platform, and it was based off of what, in my opinion at the time, and I told you guys, was a frivolous complaint that I had infringed on some copyright. Now, upon further review, to YouTube's credit, I want to give them credit, they have gone and reviewed the complaint, and they've actually ruled basically that the video did not violate any copyrights, and that it should be posted here, and that it's still gonna be not deleted and there for your public consumption. Now, that's all great and good, okay? And I appreciate the fact that YouTube went and they reviewed it. And like I say, don't get on YouTube. They have so many great people there. Really, I've talked to a lot of them. And they're all just really nice and great people who you know, they can't control what happens outside of their control, just like none of us can, right? But what happened with me in particular with this episode, and I'll keep this pretty short since we're at the beginning of the episode and we have a lot to cover here in this Q post, is that the video has been reposted, the copyright strike's been removed, and it would seem that the person whoever levied this against me was denied the satisfaction of removing my content. But what they were given the satisfaction of, which is upsetting to me, is if you look, these are my 4 latest videos. And as far as uploads go, and they're on the main page. So when you come to this landing page, this is what you see. Now, what's upsetting to me is as soon as this video moved into the realm that would not be on that landing page, you can see that this video was restored. And not blaming YouTube, I want to make that very clear, because I actually have a lot of respect for the people that work there, especially just the rank and file people who make that YouTube work every day. But let's just be honest. This video was never meant to be popular, and it was gaining too much traction, and there was something that happened, and I can't tell you what happened. I can't tell you if it had something to do with the people at YouTube, which I don't think at this moment that it was, or if it just had something to do with somebody who filed a frivolous copyright infringement complaint against me, and that it took YouTube time, which is fair, for them to make the judgment that it was a frivolous claim. But for them to just automatically go and delete my content and then go, it's kind of like a punishment to a person like myself who work in this area of doing a 24-hour like news cycle basically, and I bring you the news on a daily basis. So I just wanted to point that out before we got started on the latest Q post, because trust me, there is so much to be covered here that you guys are in store for quite a show tonight. So let's jump right into it. First, this is the latest Q post. This is where we left off. As I said before, if you want to go catch up, come here, watch the latest videos, and you'll get caught up on where we're at. But It gives us a bunch of code here. And I can't tell you I've deciphered every one of these code lines yet because they're kind of like the Q stringers. They're meant to be solved eventually. I don't know that they're meant to be solved right off the bat. But I can tell you there's a few things that we can take away from what is being presented here by Q. First thing, um, the letters, the numbers, I haven't been able to really make a lot out of that. There's a kill box here, as we call it. It just means that a word is in brackets. It's called a kill box. It's not meant to literally mean anything other than it's a phrase or a term. And it's saying castle or rival good, blue metal. Well, castle we've heard a lot. Red castle, green castle. This is a term that's been thrown around quite frequently on the QAnon boards. And to say castle rival good may, in my mind, suggest President Trump arriving back to the White House, back to Washington, however you want to put that. Then it says Fox M1, stolen takedown, action KDN 00, Vic Intel 34 classified, 38 classified, Con Sit Aware, On Guard Zbunk T6Y, X EXE, so on and so forth. I mean, I'm not going to read through every single thing, but this one is another kind of coded stringer. And what's great about this board is that when Q posts, we've kind of verified who Q is to a degree. I mean, we don't have every single proof of Q. Suffice it to say, we're going to get into that in these posts, but I can tell you that I have enough evidence to kind of report to you guys that I'm fairly certain that Q is a very reliable source and someone very close to the president. So that's just something I want to relay. And my support for the president is unwavering. I'm incredibly loyal to that faction of what Trump is doing, his administration, those in it. And I think he's doing the right thing by our country, and I'm going to continue to support him. But this is telling us about something that's much more incredible, I think, than we can even imagine, as in Q tells us that we've had all the information this whole time. And one thing I wanted to point to was the continuing situational awareness. Because what this to me is referring to is we had this Q post from June 10th where he says, false flag weather alert worldwide. Stay vigilant and maintain situational awareness, right? Q. And this is only from a few days ago, depending on what time zone you're at, 2 or 3 days ago. So it's saying here to continue our situational awareness. It's telling us that the threat may have been basically removed, and that's a win for us, guys. Because remember, I can't decode it, this exact cipher, because this is obviously people who are way above my pay grade as far as being able to read and understand all of this. And I'm sure some Anons may have some insights into it, but we'll have to wait and see what those are. And as of now, I can only give you my general initial takeaway. And another thing that stood out to me is I even talked about this before. Blackwater on guard from Q. If you guys want to go watch this video, I suggest you watch it. It's going to tell you a lot about what's going on with Blackwater and how they're involved. And on guard Zbunk, I'm telling you, this is something to do with Blackwater. And somebody has asked me, and I'll go through and actually answer all these questions. But actually, one of the questions I've been asked is Blackwater Q? And to that I say, I don't know. And even if I did know, I probably wouldn't tell you. So it's a moot thing to ask. That being said, it's funny that that is a question that I would be presented with, because a part of my Patreon is, you guys come and ask questions, and then I try to answer them as best I can. Now, here's a great one. The next post after these two posts is Godspeed one and all Q+. Now, a lot of people have a lot of speculation on who Q+ is, ranging from people as high up as President Trump all the way to basically it could be anyone. Anyone in the higher levels who are in the sphere of Q who may be able to have a bigger impact. My personal belief on who Q is, I believe Q is, oh, that's right, I'm not going to tell you who Q is, because even if I did know who Q is, why would I want to tell you? That's my point. Q's meant to be anonymous. That's the whole point. And as much as we may want to know who he or she or they are, um, let's be quite honest, people. In the business and the dealings that we're going through right now, right? If we're trying to get this information, we're trying to get it public, we're trying to do it in a classified sense, or not in a classified sense, but in a sense of taking classified information and trying to give the public just basically a fighting chance at knowing that there's a lot of things that it gets. Let's put it this way: files get deemed classified for all types of reasons. Some reasons for classifying files are national security. The justification for classifying a file based on national security could vary widely, including varying widely enough to actually suggest that the knowledge of the actual truth of a situation could be detrimental to the security of the public at large. So, that being said, I think we can take away that a lot of the information that is out there is definitely harder to get out there when you have basically this self-compartmentalizing system where you have just a compartmentalized information that's being compartmentalized even further to just keep it away from us because their justification is, oh, well, if they knew the truth about how corrupt this was or how bad this was or how evil this was or how connected to satanic or Luciferian or weird ritualistic stuff it was, that in that certain circumstance, it would be impossible for us to not react violently or react in a irrational manner. So, understandably, I get that, but at the same time, it's like I believe there's enough rational minds out there to really break this down for those who may be more irrationally minded to say, look, here are the facts. Let's go ahead and look at them. And if people have been committing crimes, let's go ahead and have an equal application of law. Because wouldn't that be what our forebears wanted? Wouldn't that be what the founding fathers wanted? Wouldn't that be what the whole system of constitutional republic is based off of? Who is Q plus? That's the question, right? We kind of got away from that, but Q plus, in my opinion, is who knows. But I can tell you one thing. This is the way I like to think of it. An anon, a couple of artists over here on or redditors left these comments, and I thought it was great. This guy, serial killer, and it's cereal, like the food, not like a real person who's doing bad things, says, I think Q plus is direct comms from POTUS, right? And then this other person says, V Riftist says, my favorite take for Q plus is Q plus POTUS over the shoulder. And I could not agree more. When I read this comment as I'm doing my research, as I do every night, to bring you guys this information, when I read this particular comment, I thought to myself, that is exactly what I hope and think it is as well. But I don't know. So, like I said, even if I knew who Q was, I probably wouldn't share it that openly, given the fact that why do we need to know who Q is if we can verify through the proofs of Q that he's close to Trump, he's somehow involved in his inner circle, and that he has access to the NSA and their databases, and that he's working for the betterment of the United States. He's working to make America great again. He's working on behalf of the president and his administration. And the military, who, there is the military industrial complex that we want to have our whole riff against, which I understand. How does trillions of dollars disappear? I don't know. All right. But I do know we have the biggest and largest and greatest military in the world. So it's kind of for me like, okay, well, I could understand how you could lose $9 trillion if, you're the largest military in the world. Not making a justification for that, but rather to say that there is something to be said for American exceptionalism. There is something to be said for the thought that we as Americans can share this idea of prosperity and this idea of peace and this idea of equality that basically resonates out to the world at large. it's something that was really big and really expanding from the 80s into the 90s and even into the early 2000s. But it's been on the decline lately as far as people pointed out, which I thought was really important. Look at Obama's first year in office. It was like an apology tour. And I thought somebody said that in one of the, probably like Sebastian Gorka or somebody, but or Dan Bongino or somebody, but it resonated with me. It just made me think, okay, that is very true. That is something that we have to examine and think more about. Now, the next post here from Q says, this is not a game. Certain events were not supposed to take place, Q. And it shows, basically, you can see here, it says skunkbayweather.com. And it's saying it's from June 10th, which was only a couple days ago, from 3:56 a.m. At whatever local time this was here, I would guess, that you can see a rocket, what would appear at least to be a rocket, being shot off and basically sent into the air. And it would seem to me more logically, it could be coming from a land-based area, but it also, because this looks like an island and there's water all around it, that rocket could have been launched from a submarine. And we're going to look at that in the next few posts. But the next post here is actually commenting on missing letter from this particular post. It's saying, an ANON post here, supposed missing D, because right here it says certain events were supposed to happen to take place, and it's supposed to be supposed, I guess, to make a repetitive statement there, but there is a D missing from here. So Q replies with a capital D in parentheses. Okay, interesting. We're going to read further really quickly before we go further into this. It says event talk being attacked, and this is from Q. Reference, vol pic, POTUS tweets, missing letters. You have more than you know. Some areas we cannot expand on. Critical thinking, Q. And of course, I always encourage every one of you to exercise your own critical thinking as we go through these, but it's going to make more sense as I go forward. The next post, and I'm going to get through these 4 posts, and we're going to kind of review them all together. So the next post is Q responding to this post we just read right here, and it gives us a picture of this submarine. And Q says, reverse image search, think hack, comms dark, Q. Okay, so let me explain everything and how these are all connected in what Q's giving us. Okay, so first of all, we don't know who Q plus is, but it's in my opinion, it could be somebody at the NSA of the highest ranked, I guess you would say, in an admiral position. You guys can put that together for yourself, or the president of the United States, or who knows who. It could be anyone. But that's the best guess to this point. These are obviously trip codes, line orders. These are meant for people way above my pay grade to take this information and put it to use how they see fit. Although I did draw what I did out of it. This next post here, when it says this is not a game, certain events were not supposed to take place, and it gives this D, well, my first thing is when I looked it up, you reverse image search this post, this picture, I should say, actually, and it brings you here to defensenews.com. And the article is written by Andrew Jiraki, and it says 4 days ago it was written, so back on the 9th or the 10th, or excuse me, the 9th or the 8th. It says Chinese hackers steal sensitive Navy program data. And if you actually read through the story, it's pretty crazy. It says cyber attacks sponsored by the Chinese government infiltrated a U.S. Navy contractor's computers, allowing digital thieves to access sensitive data related to secret Navy projects on a submarine anti-ship missile. The information stolen was stored on the contractor's unclassified network, despite being highly sensitive nature, according to the information obtained by the Washington Post. Listen, guys, this is what I'm talking about here, okay? And this is what Q's been talking about, and this is what he talks about. Think about it this way. What jumped into my mind when I read this story, okay, this guy first of all, you have Q telling us a big D here in parentheses. Could it be Democrat? And I'm not saying that it was, but I'm just saying, think about it this way. What I've been noticing as I read through the story, and it just jumped right into my mind immediately, is that when information is basically stolen or hacked, as you would say, it's never really done independently. There's always like somebody who left information on a server, or left it here, or left it there, put it on their unclassified home computer, or put it on their own unclassified home laptop, or put it in a unclassified server at a coffee shop in a basement. Thinking to the Hillary emails, thinking to the Wiener laptop, thinking to those kind of things. I can tell you right now that when I hear this story, I think immediately that this information was leaked, it was let out, it was given as a part of basically a bribe to keep people's mouths shut. And I'm saying this, I'm not going to censor myself. I'm not going to self-censor what I say here. So I'm going to tell you, this is my opinion. I don't have any facts to back this up as of yet. Maybe facts will come out in the future, but it would seem that when you read a story like this and it says something to the effect of a contractor put it on his personal computer that was unsecured. Well, you don't think these contractors go to like meetings and to classes to learn how to secure data? I'm pretty sure they do. I think that if they do this kind of idiotic stuff, it's either because of complete basically lack of intelligence and lack of ability to know what to understand direction and to follow order, or it is purposefully done. And why would they do this? Well, let's just give you one idea of why maybe it would have been done. Let's say there are Chinese officials, hypothetically, who have been working with U.S. officials who hypothetically have been basically selling secrets out to them over hypothetically the last 8 years or so, or before, let's say 2 years before 8 years, the 2 years ago and 8 years beyond that. That's when it was going on. Maybe possibly even past that, as according to this story, if it were to connect. If that were the case, then hypothetically we could make the assumption that those individuals would be very eager to cover their tracks. And how does blackmail work? You go, so say that hypothetically, and I'm going to keep talking hypotheticals because I don't want to, step on anyone's toes here, obviously. Hypothetically, let's say somebody were to open up a private email server and they have a high security clearance. And then on that server, they were to store classified information that was unsecured. And then hypothetically, they ran a foundation where, foreign governments could go and contribute donations. And then hypothetically, when the foreign governments made the donations, a part of the deal was that they could go and get access to this private server that had classified information on it that hypothetically had information from special access programs, which are part of the compartmentalized information divisions inside of our government, how they segregate information in order to keep it safe. That in and of itself, to me, is a big deal. So I don't want to harp too much on this because we have too much to cover here. But that's how I put all of this together. Another interesting thing is if you actually look up the dimensions of this picture that's posted here, it's 999 pixels by 666 pixels, 999, 666, and it says reverse image search. So I think it was purposefully put out in that pixel dimension to indicate that this submarine is somehow connected in some nefarious evil stuff. But that's my individual opinion at this point. Now, next post is another basically stringer, in my opinion, a coded message to other people who may be watching this board saying GhostCon active approval 58203JX. Still going to have to do some research to figure out exactly what all that means. But if you guys have any thoughts, please leave them down in the comments. I'd love to hear what your opinion is on it. I'm sure that over time we'll have people who can look at that and actually put it together better than I can at this moment. So I'm going to just move on from it, but I'm going to go ahead and make the simple suggestion that it's telling us that there is something that is active and that there has been approval given for it. So obviously it could be an operation, some sort of retrieval possibly of the stolen technology from the Chinese hackers that we looked at here in this story. But who knows? You guys let me know in the comments if you have any thoughts, theories, or ideas on that. So the next post here is really incredible. Connected, and it gives 2 articles, and it says Kashyap Patel named to remember Q. Well, first let's look at these 2 articles. First article is saying Nunez and Gowdy, so Devin Nunes and Trey Gowdy, accused the Department of Justice of launching anonymous attacks on congressional investigator. And what this article actually goes to outline, and it's from Fox News and it's written by Catherine Herridge, it goes on to outline the fact that you actually have this pretty much like noted exchange where Rod Rosenstein said repeatedly that he doesn't put a lot of stock in anonymous sources over here, and we are committed to continuing to work with Chairman Gowdy and Nunez committee to accommodate all requests, while at the same time going after one of their staffers who is just putting together information and just working on behalf of the actual congressman to give them the best information possible. So the whole point of this is going into this post right here, right, which is from Rosenstein threatening to subpoena the GOP-led committee in chilling clash over records. And this story is actually coinciding with that story, talking about how Deputy Rosenstein actually threatened to subpoena the email, phone records, and other documents from lawmakers and staff on a Republican-led House committee during a tense meeting earlier this year. Now, the comment that was actually made was right here. It says, and this is from Kash Patel, and he says, quote, going so far as to say that if the committee likes being litigators, then we, Department of Justice, too, are litigators. And we will subpoena your records and your emails, referring to HPSCI, the House Permanent Select Committee on Intelligence and Congress overall. This was an email that's being referenced here by Kash Patel, and it's from Rod Rosenstein talking about how when they basically made the statement that they're going to want to subpoena information from the DOJ and the FBI, this is Rod Rosenstein's response, is that he is a litigator too, and that his prerogative apparently will be to, if they want to, it's like a tit for tat. If they subpoena them, then it's going to be, we'll subpoena your records and we'll take your emails. So you see how that works. Very toddler-ish mentality where it's basically I'm not, or it's like I'm not, you are type defense. It's the basic deflection of the year. So we're gonna keep rolling through these posts because we got a lot to cover. But Q's telling us Kashyap Patel, name to remember. So let's keep him in mind. This is going to be really big. This is going to be very important. So we're going to have to basically keep an eye on that as we go through this. But we have a lot to cover, so we're going to keep going forward. Now, in response to that last post we just covered, Q actually posts another point here saying, good interviews coming up on Ingram, Rod Rosenstein, and the Freedom Caucus, Q. Now, what is this referring to? Well, here we have actual Laura Ingram on the Fox channel here, Fox News channel, reporting on this. And we're going to watch it for a couple seconds. And you guys let me know. We're going to talk about it right after. So hold on. We're going to watch this right now.
I'm confident that Deputy Rosenstein, 28 years in the Department of Justice, did not improperly threaten anyone on that occasion. But we do believe that we have tried to be cooperative with them and made progress in months as the months have gone by, and in fact have had some good relationships with top members of Congress.
With the war between the DOJ and Congress heating up, two lawmakers join us tonight to make a major announcement exclusively on the angle. Here are Oversight Committee members Mark Meadows and Jim Jordan. Jim, what do you think about what you just heard from the Attorney General?
You're almost flabbergasted. I mean, what is the Attorney General saying? Rod Rosenstein hasn't complied with Devin Nunes' subpoena, hasn't complied with Chairman Goodlatte's subpoena. We've caught them hiding information in the Strzok page text messages, redacting the fact that Peter Strzok was friends with Judge Contreras, one of the FISA court judges. They tried to hide that from us. And today we learned in Catherine's report that the head of in essence, the head of the Justice Department, Rod Rosenstein, was threatening members of the House Intelligence Committee for doing their job, for trying to get answers for the American people, and the Attorney General says that's okay, we're doing just fine. I didn't know he had said that when you just played that. I'm like, are you kidding me? This report of Catherine is unbelievable. When you have the head of the Justice Department, Rod Rosenstein, saying he's going to go after staff members, emails, and communications.
Going after he wants your BlackBerry.
We're doing our constitutional duty as
Mark,
that's scary.
Yeah, Mark, Congressman Meadows.
So there you go. You guys just watch that. And there's more to this. You guys can go watch this clip independently if you want. But I can tell you that Jim Jordan's basically sums it up there. This is what's going on. It's basically now it's become a personal attack on those legislators in Congress who are just doing their job and following through and investigating and following where the facts are leading them. And Q's pointing us to this and saying, look, this is the Freedom Caucus. These are the people who are working hard in order to expose this with us. And we shouldn't be working against them. We should be supporting them. And goes right into the next post, and we'll read right through it. So an ANON post here saying, it gives this post, this link to an 8chan Q research post, and it says, and I think it's actually the post where Q writes this one here. Yeah, it is. And it says, just a reply to Q from last thread about Ingram interview. It was an awful interview. Once again, weak, ineffectual, limp-wristed promises to hold a vote. To Rosenstein in contempt. Who cares? Until Rosenstein is hauled off by the House Senate or House Sergeant at Arms as granted per the Supreme Court, it means nothing. Anyone remember Holder? Nothing happened to him. Nothing. This pisses me off. To no end, just close the fist and crush them already. What is Trump waiting for? So it's obviously an ANON who's experiencing some deep angst at what's going on here. And Q responds to this directly saying full weight of the House versus ARM. And I found the acronym for ARM, but I can't remember it and I can't find it again. I'm sure you guys will let me know what it is in the comments, but what they're saying here is, why are optics important? Why does DC, or how does DC work? Why is Ryan still in office? Lame duck. Why is Ryan leaving office? Who controls Ryan? Audits engage. Q. Okay, so what it's saying here is basically that when the IG report comes out, when Huber starts basically levying these indictments, it's going to take the full weight of the House against the arm of the cabal, the inside arm of the cabal that's controlling these high-ranking individuals inside of our government who are just so tone deaf that they don't understand. They don't understand one iota of what's going on outside of their tiny little bubbles that they live in out in their DC little swamp areas, or their own little liberal bastions that they tend to basically huddle in and create large echo chambers. But this is telling us more about Paul Ryan. It's saying Paul Ryan is still in office. He's a lame duck. It's telling us that Paul Ryan's leaving office. It's saying who is controlling him on the way out. And it's asking the audits, who are just basically referring to people who do this work, to do the research, who have a higher IQ, who can focus on certain things and really magnify and blow them up. That is what's being referred to there. It's not a derogatory term against anyone, in case you're wondering. But that's what this whole post is saying. And the optics are always important. That's how DC works. It's not about substance, guys. I wish it were. I hope that we can change it so it is in the future. But at this moment, most of DC is about optics. It's about how things appear. It's about how you look when you go and you basically like virtue signal and put a bill up, or a virtue signal and pledge your allegiance to some cause that you know is basically, if it's helping one race at the expense of another, it's basically a racist initiative, right? But they don't seem to see it that way. They take it as, oh, well, we're just empowering the unempowered minorities, and you're like, well, technically, I understand where you're coming from. I can see that you have some kind of like actual good intent, possibly somewhere hidden in that. But when you use that as a reason to discriminate against people of other, not just races, it's races, it's religions, it's thoughts and ideologies, all of these things, when you use that as an excuse, then you're obviously not, in my opinion, living the American, living in the American ethos inside of what we believe as a country. So that is important, and we're gonna get into who runs Ryan in the next post. So we're gonna wait for that one, but obviously this Anon is upset. Now the next post says, "Is Ryan still there because he is going to support POTUS?" And Q responds saying, "Who brings the votes? House floor? Who decides? Why is this important? What is coming? Full weight of the House. Some must remain clean. Distance from what is about to happen. Q." So obviously, there's a lot coming down the pipeline, and we're going to wait and see what that is. But what is being told to us now is that the House is very important. We all know that. The House is where bills started, where bills get started, where initiatives get started, where things actually tend to start to make a big difference in our country. And Q's telling us, they're telling us, this is going to be an important thing to note and to monitor, what's going on with Ryan, how we're going to basically shift the weight of the House to be in favor of the policies that we deem appropriate, in the sense that everything that's being, for the most part, I don't want to broadly paint with a broad brush here, but broadly speaking, most initiatives coming out of the Democrat liberal side are just out of this world progressive ideas that are, there can be no middle ground, because they don't have any tolerance for you not submitting to their ideology, in simple terms. So that seems to be the case with a majority of not your normal everyday Democrat liberals, but in a lot of the more left-leaning individuals and the more progressively radical individuals. So that's becoming quite an issue in our political discourse here. And Q asks, link to proofs, Q. So he's asking, proofs. What are proofs? They're proofs of Q. Proofs of Q are basically graphics that are put together that explain, this is what's... Q said this on this day, which was a day before Trump said this in his Twitter, which then Q verified a day after by saying that this is the way it is. And I'll give you a great example of one. And this is just one. And this is on my Twitter page here. So if you guys want to come support me, definitely come over here at Justin_formed, but on Twitter. But this is an example, right? So here you have on February 18th, 2018, you have Q saying, "For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you a hope and a future," which is Jeremiah 29:11. Then you have on the very well, not the very next day, but a few days later, in May 3rd, you have Vice President Mike Pence's official page tweeting out Jeremiah 29:11. For I know the plans I have for you, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you a hope and a future. Thanks be to God. But that is just one example of the many proofs of Q that are out there. I could give you at least a dozen. As far as I saw, what Q references in the next few posts is actually there's about 123. And of those, I'm just going to conservatively say 75 are good proofs. Some of them are a little bit of stretch or whatever. But let's say there's at least 75 proofs of Q. That's a lot. That's nothing to be scoffed at or to be dismissed. Now the ANON posts here, qproofs.com. Now you guys can go to qproofs.com. It's mega.newzealand, I think, was that kim.com site and the mega upload site. I'm not sure if that's the same one, but it's mega.nz. And it's kind of like an uploading site. It's got you can go to this particular link and it'll bring you to, you have 123 basically slide images of proofs of Q that are basically comprehensive graphics that show how dates from when Q posts were made compared to dates when things happen on either President Trump's Twitter or events that are happening in the news would coincide to tell you that Q obviously has foreknowledge of these events, and therefore it is obviously a proof of Q. And Q's asking, saying, no proofs collection here pinned. And this is talking to the board operators and the bakers and people who actually create and make this Q board. So you guys got to understand that I'm not going to go through everything here. If you guys want more information, I encourage you to watch this video. What is QAnon? You're going to learn more about bakers and the posts and the 8chan boards and how that all works. So if you guys want more information on that, please go watch that video. But Q saying no proofs collection here pinned, no links within each post top. You will need soon Q. So he's basically telling the bakers and the board owners and board operators there on Q research to start compiling the proofs of Q, putting them at the top of the page in links. Each one of the breads, which are the new threads that Q research works on or through. Again, go watch that video if you want to get a further explanation of that. But Q saying you will need soon Q. So what is he saying? An ANON posts here and Q responds. The ANON says this board in coming months, and this is a quote from Q before, says this board in coming months will be spread and discussed across all platforms. And then the ANON post for himself here, important to be prepared. Q points directly to this post saying, think new arrivals. Proofs are important. Thank you, Audis, Anon's Q. So he's talking to you, he's talking to me, he's talking to all of us out there who are covering this information, who are getting it out there and spreading it. He's saying that we're going to continue to spread further and that through that, it's actually going to bring more new people into this basically movement, this revolution, the Great Awakening that we're putting together here. And that's why I want you to share this video. I want you to go watch this video. If you don't know what I'm talking about when I say bakers or dough or Audis or if you don't know any of those terms and you don't know what it means to have board owners and threads and 8chan, all that stuff's kind of relatively explained here. If you want to go learn more about it, I encourage you to go watch that video. Now, that's what Q is saying in my humble opinion, and we're just going to jump right into the next one because these are the last two, and then we'll wait and see if we have more posts coming from Q sooner than later. But this is an ANON posting, and Q is responding to it, and the ANON says, Q, if you confirm proofs, then those on Twitter, which is the way they say Twitter, lurkers, who are those who basically, if you don't know anything about posting, you don't know anything about how these boards works, you don't know anything about Reddit, 8chan, whatever, you basically should be a lurker, which means you just come and you look and you research and you read and you don't interact until you're ready to do that. And even those with little to no knowledge of the Great Awakening will pay attention more, spelled that wrong, but maybe purposely, and add validity to the proofs. The proofs and side-by-sides I see that are circulated the most are the ones you have confirmed, 07. And it says, thank you for your service to the Great Awakening. God bless you, POTUS in the United States of America. Q says, Roger that, Q. Well, God bless Q, and God bless POTUS, and God bless the United States of America. I believe in all of those things. And God bless each and every one of you out there who are watching and following this information. But the next thing is pretty disturbing, and it seems upsetting, but we have an actual threat against people who are going to be, or anticipated threat against people who are going to be researching, putting this information up that's being reported to us by Q here in this post, according to him or them. But this one's great. It just tells you basically that Q can confirm the proofs, and then those will be the important things that draw more people in, because those are the most popular. And I can give you a dozen examples more than the one I just showed you on here, but I can tell you that you'll have to go find those for yourself. And I'll keep posting them here on my Twitter if you guys want to come check that out at Justin_formed, or just search Justin Formed Talk here on Twitter, and you guys can get access to that, and you guys will be able to see all that. Now, the next thing we're going to talk about, which is the last thing, is the most disturbing, and we're going to talk about how important it is at the end to embrace God for protection in these things. But Q's warning us, and we need to take this very seriously. He's saying, mainstream media attacks, and then kill boxer brackets, round 2. Mossad attempts failed. Clown attempts failed. Expect bigger push. FBI 4 open investigations. 8chan risk. DDoS attack plus inject. Together you are stronger. Together you control narrative and response. People respond to logic, facts. People sleeping attach to opinion, personality, groupthink. Fear is real. Fear regarding Twitter throttling and shadow ban coded hashtag QAnon, which I code everything hashtag QAnon, so I'm sure they're shadow banning everything I do on Twitter. Fear regarding 4chan mods plus remove, replace equals or to control them. Fear regarding Reddit mods, remove, replace, controlled. Fear regarding mainstream media conspiracy push 1, controlled. Fear regarding Facebook remove, replace, controlled. Quiet attempts to shut down will become public and loud. Strength together, primary purpose. Do not be silent, majority. They are losing control. People with the power. Great awakening, truth, good versus evil. Where we go one, we go all. Trust yourself, Q. Well, guys, I take this warning very seriously, because when Q puts this out, he's not putting this out lightly. And Q's telling us a lot of things here. So let's start at the beginning. Mainstream media, he's already pointed out all of the attacks. I mean, they basically got Roseanne removed from ABC, even though she kind of did that to herself by putting out the tweet that she did. Although a comedian should be able to make jokes. I don't understand how that gets basically put into the thought police category, where they can control what you say. But he's saying Killbox round 2. So there is a round 2 that is going to be coming, I would assume. Mossad attempts failed. Or he's actually reviewing what happened. Now, I don't know which one yet. We'll have to wait and see. But either way, I take these warnings very seriously when he puts this all out here for us to understand what's happening. Mossad attempts failed. Now, I know for a fact that there's been multiple people who have insinuated that the Mossad has been involved in operations with regard to what happened with the Awan brothers, what happened with Epstein on Lolita, the Lolita Express, and his island out there, Little St. James, where a lot of people speculated off the bat that was somehow some kind of operation. But clown attempts have failed, referring to basically disinformation and other people, prominent actors, including former directors of the CIA, including John Brennan, the raisin-faced turd muffin himself, who has been on a crusade against Trump, along with others like little shorty Robert De Niro, who's like 5'1" or something. I don't even think he is 5 feet tall, and I'm obviously exaggerating because he's very sensitive about that. But it's true. It's like, you want to go out there and just act like that. I don't know what to say. And it's saying expect a bigger push. So bigger than what we've seen. I don't know what that would entail, but guys, be prepared for it. It's saying that the FBI, it would appear, has 4 open investigations right now, which are important because they're looking at things like the risk of people being attacked on 8chan through DDoS attacks and virus injection attacks. Those things you have to be aware of, and that would be the real scary thing to me. You know, it's like you're the people who are on these sites are basically volunteering their time. They're just trying to get to the truth, and they enjoy what they do. They enjoy uncovering truth and being a part of a greater good. And there's going to be apparently some attacks on that, and that there's going to be certain people who may or may not be implicated for things. All I can tell you guys is that, you know, I put my faith in God, and I know that He is my Savior, and I understand that these threats and risks exist. So we'll have to cross those bridges if they ever come, which I pray that they won't. So what he's saying in the next one are important messages for all of us to understand that we are stronger together, that we control the narrative and the response, and that people respond to logic and facts, like what this whole channel is, what I do here. It's not about like getting into some convoluted conversation about something that may or may not exist. It's like people respond to the fact that there's rational thought, there's logic, and there's just a literal attempt at critical thinking. And it says people sleeping attached to opinion, personality, and groupthink, which couldn't be more true. Those out there who don't want to actually actively critically think about things tend to just rely on others' opinion and others' personalities and others' groupthink. Well, that's not what I'm trying to do here. The whole purpose of this channel is to present a broad diversity so that you guys can go out there and take just the raw information. And I do, of course, give you my opinion, but to take the raw information and critically think for yourselves. I don't tell you what to think. I tell you what I think. And I hope that people who are sleeping wake up and they start doing things like focusing on logic and facts, because that's all we're trying to present here. It's not like some mind game that's being played. And the next one, Q is saying fear is real. And I think what Q is saying here is that there's a lot of fear out there that there's going to be Twitter throttling and shadow banning. There's going to be 4chans who may be removed or replaced, Reddit moderators, 4chan moderators and Reddit moderators who may be removed and replaced or controlled. There may be fear, and these are maybe tactics that they're planning on basically sowing. They're going to sow these seeds of deception, possibly, that Twitter's throttling and shadow banning coded QAnon, which, you know, they are. But then Q bolds these ones, which these may be the next ones that they're going to push. That 4chan moderators have been removed, replaced, or controlled. That Reddit moderators have been removed, replaced, or controlled. That mainstream media conspiracy push 1 has been controlled. And I can't tell you if he's saying right now, without having the context of hindsight, really, whether he's saying that these are things that he's gone out and controlled, because it seems like it seems to me at this point that these are things that have already been addressed and controlled by Q. So, or these are things that are coming down the pipeline. You guys let me know what you think in the comments. I can't give you an exact answer on that yet because there's just not enough data to give you an honestly objective answer on that where I could, you know, state that I'm factually telling you the facts of the situation. I'm reporting this to you, and you guys are going to help me out as I go. So I appreciate that. But it's saying quiet attempts to shut down will become public and loud. Strength together, primary purpose. So listen, they understand the strength we have together is really a threat to them, and that their quiet attempts to shut down will become very loud because they have tried basically ignoring and minimalizing what's going on here with the Q, basically revolution, the Great Awakening. And now it's going to become too loud for them to ignore, especially with just what's going on here. Where, you know, look, our channel here is reaching a lot of people, and it's just an important thing to note. So he's saying strength together, don't be silent. So I promise I will never be silent, and I know that most of you out there watching do not want to be silent either. It's saying they're losing control. People with power people with the power, great awakening, truth, good versus evil. Where we go one, we go all. Trust yourself, Q. That's all self-explanatory. And I want to thank you guys for sticking around for that. If you guys have any thoughts or comments or theories, please contribute down. That was a long episode because there was so much information to cover. I'm glad we got through all of it. If you guys want to contribute, if you're looking for a way to help out this channel, the best way I could say for you guys to do that is to come here. If you have not hit that subscribe button already, please click the big red subscribe button. Make sure you hit the bell for notifications. That way you'll be notified when these videos get posted. That's the best way. It's free to you. It helps me out big time. It costs you nothing. It's like throwing me a buck. Just come here, click that big red button if you haven't already. That is the best way you can help out the channel. Now, the second best way you can help out the channel, scroll down at the end of this video. Leave your thoughts, theories, and insights in the comments. And like I say, we try to have our own QAnon research board at the end of each one of these videos where we just put together all of our thoughts, theories, and comments regarding what's going on with not just the Q post, but what's going on in the news, things that were covered here, things that were not mentioned here, so on and so forth. And we have a great community of people who go down there and comment and leave really thoughtful, in-depth insights. So I encourage everybody, even if you can't contribute, scroll down, read through those comments. You're going to learn something you didn't know. And I guarantee that pretty much on every episode. So I hope you guys enjoyed that. Now, another way to help out is to come over here at Justin_formed on Twitter. And I just started this GoFundMe campaign. If you guys want to contribute, I'm actually trying to basically counteract all of this YouTube censorship and all these things that are happening. And I'm launching my own website, and it's going to be called justinformednews.com. If you guys want to contribute, I've started a GoFundMe. It's going to cost a little bit of money to get all my servers up and get the domain name and all that stuff. But if you guys really want to help out, please go there to GoFundMe. It's got a link right here. It's pinned on my Twitter page. You guys can go there and contribute what you can to help get that website up and going. And I want to say thank you to each and every one of you who go do that in advance. Now, another great way to help out the channel, if you want to help out the actual Just Informed Talk channel individually, financially, please come here to patreon.com. This is where I go to basically make it so that I'm not relying solely on advertising through YouTube. So you guys come to patreon.com. That's patreon.com. It's a monthly donation. You search Just Informed Talk. You'll come here to this page. Click this button to become a patron. Like I said, it's just a monthly donation, and it helps keep this channel alive. And it's truly what makes it possible for me to continue to bring this content no matter what. So that's another great way to contribute, and I really appreciate all of you going and doing that in advance from where I'm at right now. Now, quickly, before we go, God. Why is God the most important thing in the world? Well, we all know why we love God, but do we know how important it is to seek God's redemption? Do we know what the real truth is? Do we know what really means the most to us individually? And I'm going to tell you guys this, and I've been kind of stuck in the Psalms lately for some reason, but this Psalm just spoke to my heart, and it dug deep down in my soul, and it grabbed me by my heart, and I wanted to share it with you guys. And it's Psalm 130. And I'm just going to read it because it's just a beautiful short psalm. It says, "Out of the depths I call to you, Lord. Lord, listen to my voice. Let your ears be attentive to my cry for help. Lord, if you considered sins, Lord, who could stand? But with you there is forgiveness, so that you may be revered. I wait for the Lord. I wait and put my hope in his word. I wait for the Lord more than watchmen for the morning, more than watchmen for the morning. Israel, put your hope in the Lord, for there is faithful love with the Lord, and with him is redemption in abundance, and he will redeem Israel from all its sins." And I just want to talk about a couple lines there that I don't know if they caught your attention there, but I want to reiterate them because I think they're the most important lines out of this. And it says, "Lord, if you considered sins, Lord, who could stand? But with you there is forgiveness, so that you may be revered." And that sums it up, guys. For those of you who don't know or have a close connection to God, just remember that all of our sins are part of our past. And what God cares about is what we do from here forward. So just remember that and take that with you. If you don't take anything else away from this episode, just remember that God loves you. If you haven't hit that subscribe button, please come here and hit the big red subscribe button. But that's going to be it for me. I want to say thank you for watching Just Informed Talk. My name is Craig. Godspeed and God bless each and every one of you, Patriots.